Snow White is officially Disney's biggest box office disaster of all time. And with the second weekend rolling in now as we speak, the train wreck is only getting worse and worse for Disney. And as you can see here, it has only just barely started to make over $100 million in the worldwide box office. This movie is going to be losing Disney hundreds of millions of dollars, and they deserve every bit of loss they get from this film. And as we saw last weekend, with the first weekend for Snow White, Rachel Zegler was coping real hard. She, of course, was saying things like on Instagram, like, "Thank you so much for making this the #1 movie in the world, guys." And well, this time around with the second weekend, her approach is completely different, okay? She is having a hilarious meltdown on Instagram that we are going to be checking out today as well. This is absolutely hilarious to see what is going on right now. But before we get into Rachel Zegler's response to how everything is going with this film, the fact that this film is completely falling apart, we're going to take a look at how bad this movie is actually doing in the box office, because it is hilariously bad. It is a complete and total humiliation for Disney, and like I said, they deserve it all, okay? They made this bed and now they have to lie in it. So before we get to the delightful numbers, here are a few things to keep in mind. Disney spent $370 million on this turkey. That includes promotion. I think it's probably closer to around $400 million with all the reshoots and everything else, but you know, we'll grant it. We'll grant it for Disney. Disney wants to transform your kids. Theaters generally keep 50% of the gross, which means Snow White will have to gross around $700 million just to break even. This movie is not going to come anywhere close to that. I would be surprised if this movie manages to break $200 million. And my estimations at first was that this movie is going to make around $500 million in the box office. This is even worse than any of us could have even planned for, which is incredible. Parents should not leave their children alone with Disney. In this new round of live action remakes, the worst performer so far is 2019's Dumbo, but Dumbo only cost $170 million to make versus $370 million for Snow White. So it doesn't matter. This is absolutely completely falling apart. It is a complete and total disaster for Disney. In its first week of release, Friday through Thursday, Snow White grossed, or Snow Woke as they're calling it here, grossed $52 million domestic and only $43 million overseas. That brings its global total after a full week to a devastating $96 million, which is embarrassing. There's no other way you can put this than it is a complete and utter failure, a complete and total embarrassment for Disney, all right? There is no other way you can explain this other than failure. That's all that it is. Rachel Zegler is not handling any of this well at all. So Rachel Zegler has now decided to turn off replies on Instagram following major backlash over the Snow White movie, because she is getting completely roasted in all of her comments on Instagram. Everyone is roasting her. Everyone is calling her out for her being one of the key players for why this movie is failing as badly as it is. Disney even sent some of their own producers, to go have a talk with Rachel Zegler and tell her, hey, you got to clean up your act. You got to delete this, this, and this. This is completely going to backfire. And she, being the girl boss that she is, said no, because she is the bravest, the truest, the fairest. She is incredible, guys. She is a girl boss, and you don't tell a girl boss what to do. Well, now everything is collapsing, and now Hollywood doesn't even want to work with Rachel Zegler anymore. Look at these comments, man. Like, she is getting completely destroyed by these comments. Biggest flop in Disney history, Snow White and the 7 viewers, the biggest flop ever, and they are only going on and on and on. Snow White and the 7 viewers, you don't even like Snow White, not even hating, this was just a bad movie, brutal, just watch the original. And it goes on with everyone just completely roasting Rachel Zegler to the point where she disabled her comments on Instagram. This is absolutely devastating to Disney, and they deserve it all. So, with that being said, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you all in another video very soon.